going on, everybody? Welcome to the first ever How You Really Doin, brought to you by Happy's Energy and Nutrition and the We'll See You Later podcast. This is episode 1 of this spinoff of the We'll See You Later podcast. Some of you guys don't listen to the full episode, and we do this How You Really Doing, where it's a mental check and a mental just where you're at, what you're dealing with at the end of my regular show. We're going to change that up. We're going to make this its own thing. So for you guys who just want to talk about your mental health, which is super important, or your mental struggles, battles, your trials and your tribulations, all of it will be dumped right here, raw and natural, for you guys to either communicate with, reach out to. Maybe this touches with you or not. Maybe we can speak to some guys in here, because I grew up in the 90s where we didn't do all this talking, all right? I just like talking about sports and doing my own thing, and I shut my mouth. So we're going to be going all over the place during this thing. We're just going to ride the roller coaster, but for episode 1, I want to kind of tell you why we started this and why I've even gotten in front of the camera, because this is not something that I think I ever would have done if this didn't happen to me. A year and a half ago, I lost my dad, and I've been trying to scramble and recover ever since. And there are good times and bad times during this, but all of them are hard, I guess you can say, because I'm in a good space now, but I'm not, because he's not here. But I just want to tell you the story of how I got here, and then we'll just launch this from there. Does that sound cool to you? So I do Herbalife with my wife, and she's a nurse full-time as well. We own a nutrition store here. We're actually in the back. That's where this is. And we started in a gym closet on a massage table, and we've moved into this space. And we were pushing really hard on our business, and it was growing. We made it to the top 7% in the company. I have the little credential here, and I was super excited. We were doing pretty good, and we had a mapped out plan of where we were going to go and how we were going to get there. And they have this event every year called Extravaganza, where they rent out like a professional stadium, and 20,000 people show up, and it's huge. We finally got to go to one and got to walk across a stage to be honored for what we did. There's a lot of people that get to do this, but we finally made it, you know? And as we get down there, my dad that week had been complaining about an upset stomach. My dad had really bad rheumatoid arthritis, where his hands were locked up, his feet were locked up. He actually had surgery. They put a metal rod through his toe, and it still came through like crazy. But I'm like, do I need to go? My dad's like, yeah. According to my dad, I just got the shits, man. But he had no immune system, so he got sick 2 or 3 times a year. Pneumonia, he got a lot, and he would have to go to the hospital for a few days. It's just almost like natural and normal, you know? And he went to the hospital, and I was leaving on Thursday, and I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, dude, go. And so Thursday, we get to our Airbnb in San Antonio. We drive from Little Rock to San Antonio, and I get a phone call at the end, and we're just talking, him and I. And we're literally just shooting the shit. I'm asking how he's doing. He's always, I'm all right. And we start just talking about like wrestling and who our favorite wrestler is and what they said. And he's laughing and I'm laughing. I said, you better watch out. The little blonde lady, my mom, beside you, she's trying to kill you. And he said, shit, I know it. And then after we were done with our 2-minute conversation, he said, all right, man, we'll see you later. I didn't know that was going to be the last thing that my father said to me. So I wake up the next day, and that's the big day of the event. And that's when we're getting honored. And my mom calls me and says, your dad might have to get on a ventilator. The way that they term things, ventilator seemed safer than life support. I'm like, okay, just to help with some breathing. Like, yeah, he's having some trouble. His oxygen's dropping. I'm like, okay, am I good? You're fine. You're fine. Go do your thing. I got him. Cool. We get to the stadium. We have a whole fiasco about our tickets. Like, I'm running everywhere just to get on stage. It was such a chaotic thing. And we get to walk across stage and we have this moment. There's a picture in my store and I've got this sash on. Carrie and I, like, there's confetti everywhere. It felt so good. And I'm like, we can do this. We get off the stage. We take pictures with our team and our friends. And I sit down. My phone starts vibrating in the stadium, which is weird because I didn't have service. So somehow I got it. And it's my mom. I'm like, oh, she's calling to tell me, like, how'd it go? So I answer, and she's upset. She's crying. And then the doctor gets the phone from her somehow and says, hey, Jeremy, your dad's on life support. I think you need to come home because decisions are possibly going to need to be made. I'll never forget, I looked at my girlfriend, my wife now, and I was in shock because I went from ventilator to life support. And it's the same thing, but it's not. My friend follows me back to the Airbnb. He's like, dude, let me buy you a plane ticket. I got you. I'm like, no, my brain was so scrambled. I was like, no, just get in the car and go. I'm going to get out of here. And we drove all the way back from San Antonio to Little Rock. We got back early in the morning. I passed out at home and I had to be up there at 8 a.m. Saturday morning. We were up there and we were talking with the doctor about the options. And if everything goes right, he can go home on home hospice. But I don't think he's going to be able to do much. We're like, what has happened? And my dad had fibrosis of the lungs, which I've never heard of, but it's arthritis in the lungs to where nothing's happening. So, and there's no cure and there's no reason or understanding of how it all works. So he's like, it could happen immediately. When it happens, it's like a snowball. It could happen in 5 years. They do x-rays of everything. They do scans of everything. He was fine, 6 months ago, and then boom. And we're weighing the options, and I'm just sitting there, and I don't know what to do. I'm a talker, and in those moments, I didn't know what to do. I'm supposed to be somebody, and my brother's right there, and I'm just quiet, and my mom's right there, and I'm just quiet because I don't know what to say. I'm the funny one in the family, like the jokester, right? I'm just trying to keep everybody happy. And I can't say anything in this moment because my dad is just laying there and we're making decisions. And they don't teach you and prepare you for that shit. I don't care how old you are. And so we decide for Monday, that's when we're going to try to get him at home. They would help with the whole process. The hospital was great. And this is where it gets hard for me. I told my now wife, she was like, I can call into work on Monday and I'll come up there and help you. And I'm like, no, we're just taking him home. Doctor said everything should be fine. Worst case scenario, we're in a bad spot. I'm calling. And the only thing that could have been bad is if my dad's kidneys failed. That's the only thing that was red flag. We're in trouble. And his numbers looked great all weekend. So I was like, no, go to work. I'll call you. We'll be fine. I get to the hospital and it's 8 a.m. and the doctor said he was off that day. He wasn't supposed to be there. And I come in the room and the doctor is sitting with my mom. And in that moment, I'm like, what happened? And I look and the doctor said, worst case scenario just happened. Your dad's kidneys failed. I'm like, okay, so what's that mean? I don't know what this means. What's that mean? It means the next thing to go is his heart. He needs surgery and he won't make it on the table. I'm like, okay, so what's our next step? And me and my mom were just there and she's crying. And he says, he's not going to make it. And I think that if he were able to tell you, he would say to take him off life support and let him go out on his own. And I'm like, go out? This is my dad, man. Like, he ain't going out. We've sat here yesterday, and he's on fentanyl and every other drug concoction you can imagine that would put somebody on the fucking moon. And you're telling me that, and he sat up and looked at me and grabbed my hand. And I said, can you see me? And he shook his head, and we had to calm him down. I said, if you take that out of him, he'll try to walk out of here. He said, not this time. In the family, we had to make calls. We got his dog to come up there, and I was trying so hard to get Carrie if she really wanted to, and she wanted to come. She was wanted to be there for me. The more and more I see it, but I feel so guilty that I robbed her of a goodbye with my dad, because my dad loved my wife. I treated her so good. He's a sarcastic jerk like me. And he constantly was messing with her and buying her little knick-knack nurse things. And that's my dad's way of showing love. And I felt like I robbed her of a goodbye. And I've had to wrestle with that for a while. And then after everybody came to see him, I didn't know what to say. So I just sat there, and after everybody said their goodbyes, then the real goodbye had to happen. And it was me, my brother, my sister, my mom. They take all the shit out of him. They leave the heart monitor on, and they let you in. And I'm sorry, I haven't relived this in a year and a half, but I'm in a room with my loved ones, and my sister's holding his hand. My brother's right there holding my mom. I'm at the foot of the bed. I don't know what to do. I want to pray for him. I want to hold him. I want to help him. I want to get on top of him and just wake him up. And I just froze. I couldn't have helped him anyway, but I just froze. I was so scared. And then I just watched a heart monitor drop from 80 to 60 and all the way down till it beeps. And I had to listen to my dad gasp. It's something that I wouldn't want anybody. I had the honor to be there when he left, but I have the pain as well. And so for a lot of you said, I've heard a lot of at least you were there, man. Two different traumas. I understand not being there and you feel like you let them down, but being there, you feel so helpless. So two different traumas. I'm sorry I'm crying so dang much. I'm emotional. I can't help it. I could just say is I was the last in the room. I didn't want to leave, But I didn't. I'm a spiritual guy. I didn't see anything happen when my dad passed, but I can tell you the whole room changed. It got so quiet. It wasn't like it was loud. It just got quiet and empty. And I didn't want to leave. My mom came up to me and said, he's gone. Let's go home where he's at. And so we went home and we prepared from there on. And man, I've been dealing with that for a year and a half. And I can tell you that it's gotten easier at times and hard at times. For the first few months, I was in a bad space. I stepped away from my business because everybody was wanting to talk to me and hug on me. And I don't know how to receive that shit. To me, it's like I got to be somebody. I got to fill shoes that are impossible to fill. My dad was a mountain of a man, and that's a story for a different time, but I can't fill those shoes, man. I'm the comedic relief. I'm the jokester and the fun one. You're the head of the house. And I've wrestled with that for a long time. Like, I've been trying to step up and be somebody. And when I left my business, when I came back, we were in shambles here. We weren't making money. I was depressed. And through all that, my girlfriend turned into my fiance and now my wife. She led the house for like 6 to 8 months. Everything, she put it all on her back. And I saw a different side of a human. Because I was so lost. And I started to find my way back, and all this emotion is just unexpressed love that I didn't get to share with my dad, by the way. I love talking about this because it helps. I didn't want to talk about it, but now I can't stop. But that's why we're doing this. But me and my dad were not in the best place yet. I grew up, he was a military man. We'll, again, dig deep into this, but he was a military guy. And his favorite word was no and ask your mama. And we just never connected until I got married and divorced young. And then we started to bond. And then when I opened the store, he helped me with so many things. And the past 3 years that he was still here, we were getting closer and closer and closer. We talked on the phone. We were doing these things. We would hang out on the weekends, and it would have been really nice to see where it would have went. I'm finding out a lot more about who my dad was after, and it kind of sucks. But that's why we're doing How You Really Do. Just because I'm very emotional about that story, I don't talk about that one in particular, but I wanted to be raw and real with you right out of the gate with why I'm doing this. And if there's something going on in your life to where you are not okay, and it could be anything, man, talk about it. Message me, comment, whatever it is. Mental health is very, very important. But this is just why I decided to do the How You Really Doing. The whole podcast came from my dad leaving. Okay, we'll see you later. Came because I wanted to find purpose again. And through this, I have started to find purpose. And this is a whole new chapter for me, is opening up about feelings that for forever I was told to not shut up and just do your job, And so this is episode 1 of this whole thing, this whole journey. And we will bit by bit go through whatever you want to go through. I'm going to have some guests on here. We're going to have some real raw moments, as you can tell right out of the gate. But I look forward to this part of my journey. And hopefully this is part of healing as well. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to the How You Really Doin podcast, brought to you by Happy's Energy and Nutrition and the We'll See You Later podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy, and I will see you guys next week. Y'all have an amazing week. Love y'all.